I stared at my reflection in the office bathroom mirror, mascara running down my face, as I stuffed my termination papers into the paper shredder. The metallic grinding of my career being destroyed felt oddly satisfying. But let me rewind to 3 hours earlier. I was having my usual morning coffee at my desk, the same desk I'd sat at for 7 years as a senior financial analyst. The same spotless desk with the same family photo from 2019, back when I still smiled genuinely. The same ceramic mug with a chip on the rim that I refused to replace because it was a gift from my late mother. That's when Richard, my boss, called me into his office. I should have known something was wrong when I saw Karen from HR already sitting there, her face a practiced mask of professional sympathy. "Sarah," Richard began, not meeting my eyes, "the company is undergoing structural changes." I felt my stomach drop before he even finished the sentence. Structural changes, the corporate euphemism for "we're firing you." The words washed over me like cold water. Optimization, redundancy, severance package. After 7 years of overtime, missed birthdays, and canceled vacations, I was being discarded like a broken printer. But it wasn't the termination that broke me. It was finding out that my position wasn't even being eliminated at all. It was being given to Richard's nephew, fresh out of university. The same nephew I'd seen at the company party last month, who couldn't even explain basic market analytics. I sat there, nodding mechanically, as Karen pushed papers toward me, her red-painted nails tapping on the documents where I needed to sign. 7 years of loyalty, reduced to 3 signatures and a pitying smile. That's how I ended up in the bathroom, watching pieces of my termination papers fall like confetti into the shredder. A small act of rebellion that would probably cost me my severance, but in that moment, I didn't care. I pulled out my phone and did something I'd never dared to do before. I opened my dormant Instagram account where I'd been secretly posting my food photos for years. My hands shaking, I typed out my first public post. "Lost my job today. Time to turn my food hobby into a career. Taking orders for custom cakes starting tomorrow." The post button seemed to pulse on my screen. My finger hovered over it as security's footsteps echoed down the hallway, no doubt coming to escort me from the building. In that suspended moment, I realized sometimes the universe doesn't push you toward your dreams. It shoves you off a cliff and forces you to learn to fly. I hit post just as the bathroom door began to open. The first week after my dramatic exit was a blur of emotions and flour-covered countertops. My phone buzzed constantly with notifications, a mix of sympathy messages from ex-colleagues, and, surprisingly, cake orders from their friends. My tiny kitchen became command central for my fledgling business. But then came the cease and desist letter. I nearly dropped my piping bag when I opened the envelope. According to the legal document, I had signed a non-compete clause buried in my employment contract. It prevented me from starting any business that could potentially compete with company interests for 2 years. What did custom cakes have to do with financial analysis? Then I remembered our firm had recently acquired a chain of premium bakeries. Richard had known. He'd known about my food Instagram account all along. My hands trembled as I read further. They were demanding I shut down my business immediately or face a lawsuit that would bankrupt me before I even started. The severance package I'd forfeited by shredding those papers now seemed like pocket change compared to the legal fees I'd face. I was about to close my kitchen for good when my phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. "Sarah, this is Evelyn Sterling. I saw your cakes on Instagram. I need to meet you urgently. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., the Ivy Cafe." My heart stopped. Evelyn Sterling?
The notorious restaurant critic who had destroyed careers with her reviews, but also turned unknown chefs into stars overnight? But why would she contact me? I spent the night tossing and turning, alternating between panic about the legal threat and anxiety about meeting Evelyn. By morning, I looked like I'd been hit by a truck, but I put on my best blazer and headed to the cafe. Richard was exactly as intimidating as her reputation suggested. Steel gray hair, sharp eyes, and a red lipstick that looked like a warning sign. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. She said, "I know about your situation with Richard Blackwood, and I know you're not his first victim." Inside were documents. Dozens of them. Other employees forced out, other small businesses crushed by suspicious non-compete clauses. But what made my blood run cold was the last page, a photograph of Richard shaking hands with my father's biggest business rival, dated 1 week before my father's company mysteriously went bankrupt 15 years ago. Your firing wasn't random, Sarah. They've been watching your family for years. The question is, are you ready to fight back? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Walk away from this meeting now, or we release the video of what really happened the night your father lost everything. I looked up at Evelyn, my mouth dry. How could they know I was here? Unless...
3 months later, I stood in front of my brand new bakery, Sweet Revenge, on its opening day. The line of customers stretched around the block, but they weren't here just for my cakes. Each person clutched a copy of today's newspaper with the headline that had shaken the city's business world. Corporate corruption exposed, top executive arrested. Richard's face stared back from the front page, his expression frozen in shock as police led him away. The evidence Evelyn had given me that day was just the beginning. She wasn't really a food critic. She was an undercover journalist who'd spent years tracking corporate corruption. The video they threatened me with? It never existed, but their threat gave us exactly what we needed: proof they were monitoring my movements. For 2 months, I played my part perfectly. I shut down my cake business in fear and pretended to look for regular jobs. Meanwhile, every cake I baked went to private meetings, gatherings of Richard's other victims, where we pieced together years of evidence while sharing dessert. The final nail in Richard's coffin came from the most unexpected source: his nephew, the same one who took my job. Turns out, being incompetent had its advantages. He accidentally copied the wrong people on emails detailing years of illegal dealings, thinking he was forwarding dinner plans. But victory came at a price. My father, watching the news from his small apartment, had a heart attack. The truth about how he'd lost everything was too much. He survived, but the doctors say he'll never fully recover. The night before the police raid, I received one last threat from Richard. "You can't build a business on hate." He was wrong. I built it on justice, served with a side of the sweetest revenge. Today, as I cut the ribbon to officially open Sweet Revenge, my signature cake sits in the window display, a perfect Black Forest cake with a hidden center of blood-red cherry compote. Each slice comes with a card telling a story of corporate corruption and redemption. Richard's takedown made the headlines, but the fine print tells the stories of hundreds of others who found their voice. My phone buzzes, another message from an unknown number. But this time, I smile as I read it. "Your father would be proud. E.S." I walk into my bakery, past the wall of framed headlines documenting Richard's fall, past the community board where other entrepreneurs post their stories of survival, and into my kitchen. My old ceramic mug with the chip sits on my new desk, a reminder that broken things can still serve a purpose. They say success is the best revenge, but they're wrong. The best revenge is helping others rise while your enemies fall, one cake at a time. I pick up my piping bag and begin working on tomorrow's special, a phoenix-shaped cake that bleeds gold when cut. After all, every ending is just a new beginning in disguise.